Hour 2 coming at you live and in living audio color. Pretty soon we're going to be video casting the radio shows, and that's going to happen sometime in February, so stay tuned for that. Now, this is Metaphysical Thursday, and we bring a sophisticated understanding of the term metaphysics into the public domain here. And right now, I'm going to tell you, I'm reading a fascinating book. Actually, I've finished the book. It's a biography of a Hindu monk who lived for 185 years. His name was Shriman Tapaswiji Maharaj. Shriman Tapaswiji Maharaj, born 1770, died 1955. Born 1770. That's 6 years before the American Revolution, and died 1955, 3 years before I was born. Amazing. 185 years and 6 months old. He was a wandering ascetic. He was one of these guys wandering around the Himalayas with just a loincloth because he'd taken a vow of poverty and celibacy and, didn't have any material possessions. He was completely involved in his yogic discipline. Now, I'm going to read you what happened. He was in one of his wanderings. He would wander from place to place in the Himalayas, and he would stay in one place for 2 years or 5 years or 10 years. He'd build a little mud hut, and he'd start to meditate and do spiritual austerities. And then he'd get up, and then he'd wander someplace else, and that's what he did for his entire life under the direction of God, right? He was a holy man, a Hindu holy man. Well, on one of his perambulations through the Himalayas, he came across another Hindu holy man, and the Hindu holy man and he became friends. And the Hindu holy man who he met told him about a treatment, an Ayurvedic treatment called Kaya Kalpa. Kaya Kalpa, the intention of which was to rejuvenate the physical body. I'm going to read you a little bit about how that happened. Exposure to the cold, I quote, I'm reading from a book called Tapaswiji, biography by T.S. Ananthamurthy, the saint who lived for 185 years. Exposure to the cold winds of the Himalayas and the hardships of long and continuous journeys on foot without food and rest had reduced the vitality of his strong physical frame. All his teeth had fallen off, and his toothless face proclaimed the senility of his body. His ears were partly deaf, and his eyesight had become dim. In fact, he had not been able to see the stars distinctly for many years. His tall body had become bent at the waist, and he leaned forward when he stood or walked. Even with the support of his walking stick, his legs tottered now and then. The skin of his body had become wrinkled, hard, and weather-beaten. It is really a wonder how he had managed to walk and cover so many hundreds of miles and to reach his destinations. His feat of endurance demonstrates what uncommon strength of the will he possessed. So he meets this holy man who was called the Mahatma of Parasuramkund. Parasuramkund is a district in the Himalayas, and the Mahatma of Parasuramkund told this saint about, this holy man, about the Kaya Kalpa treatment. Now, what the Kaya Kalpa treatment involved was they built a mud hut with no windows and only one door. The door was locked. The door was locked. You couldn't get in it unless you had the key. No windows, only one door, a little mud hut, and there was a cot inside the hut made out of straw. The Kaya Kalpa treatment consisted of a secret herbal blend. A secret herbal blend, a formula of herbs which grew in various spots in the Himalayas that had to be picked at certain times of the day, had to be prepared in certain ways. This herbal preparation was mixed with fresh, unpasteurized cow's milk and delivered to the person undergoing Kaya Kalpa treatment once a day. You take a little bit of the herbal medicine orally, wash it down with a small amount of cow's milk, and you were inside the hut, lying down on the cot for 90 days in a row. 90 days in a row. Meditating and lying on the cot for 90 days. And the only thing, you didn't eat any food, didn't drink any water. All you took into your body was this secret Kaya Kalpa herbal treatment, plus a little bit of cow's milk. On the morning of the 91st day, the Mahatma came into the hut, as usual, and was pleased to notice that Shriman's body had been metamorphosed beyond expectation. He was so delighted that he frequently exclaimed that his patient was a wonderful saint. With his face beaming with delight, he said, Paramahansaji, you may now get up and take a bath in the river. The treatment is a typical success. I will wait here till you come back, and I will give you more milk to drink. The saint got up from his straw bed with the agility of a young man of 20. His limbs and muscles were so supple that he could jump and skip. He stood erect like a stalwart young man because his body was no longer bent at the waist. His eyesight had become so strong, and his new set of teeth had grown to their normal size. The color of his skin had become bright and rosy. The hair all over the body had turned black. His voice, which was feeble before he started the treatment, had become as strong as when he was a man of 20. In fact, there was no trace of any infirmity in the saint's body, which now was nearly 100 years old. Unbelievable. Now, this guy, this Hindu monk, underwent this Kaya Kalpa treatment 2 more times in his life, 3 times in total. Each time for 90 days, each time taking only every day a little bit of this herbal medicine and cow's milk while staying inside in a mud hut, lying prostrate, lying, down on a cot, meditating and praying. That's all he did for 90 days and take the medicine. It completely rejuvenated his body. He did this 3 times. Now, in his 185th year, in 1955, he developed a sore on his leg. A sore on his leg. And for reasons which I will never understand because I wasn't there at the time, he allowed an MD to treat the wound on the leg. An MD treated the wound on the leg, and 1 month later, he died. The saint who had lived 185 years, by doing 3 secret Ayurvedic herbal Kaya Kalpa treatments, completely rejuvenating his body each time, died at the hands of an MD. Unbelievable. By the way, this is documented. This man was pretty famous in the 50s in India. There were write-ups about his longevity in Indian newspapers. There were journalists that went and visited this guy, and it was all documented. And Kaya Kalpa, by the way, is a real thing. It's a real Ayurvedic medical treatment, but it's not delivered to anybody. They're only going to do it to certain people because it takes an extreme amount of mental discipline. Can you imagine lying in a bed for 90 days in a hut with no windows? Can you imagine that? You have to enter into a prayerful, meditative state. You have to give yourself over to something divine, something greater than you. And this guy was able to do that because that was his life. He dedicated himself to that. But this all goes to say that there is way much more going on here than meets the eye, Horatio. Much more to heaven and earth than is dreamt of in our philosophy. We're the only ones talking about stuff like this. And this isn't, crystal swinging woo-woo stuff. This is boots on the ground, old-fashioned, as real as it gets stuff. Everybody has at one time in their life had the experience that their prayer was answered. At least one person, one time in their life, has had the experience that they had a prayer and it was answered. And we don't, we don't lean heavily or espouse any particular religious point of view. I'm extremely eclectic in that regard. I consider myself a human being. And as a human being, a complete human being, an authentic human being, I realize that my body possesses a spiritual force. And, some people define that spiritual force in their life by Catholicism or by Hinduism or by Buddhism or by Judaism or whatever. And it doesn't matter to me which one you are, and I'm not espousing one over the other. I'm telling you, inside of every religion there exists a metaphysical sect. There are spiritual mystic sects in every religion, every single solitary one. But the point of the matter is, even if you're not a religious person, even if that doesn't float your boat, you must understand and accept the simple notion that there is something going on in your body which gives life to the body. You know, if it's all just biochemicals, as the MDs say, well, why does the body decay after it dies? I mean, it's the same biochemicals 1 second after death as 1 second before death. If it's all just a biochemical souffle, why does the body decompose? Well, I'll tell you why. Elvis has left the building. That's why. It's a spiritual force. It's an unseen life force, an unmeasurable life force that regulates the whole kit and caboodle, that regulates the whole schmear. That's what's keeping it together. That's what's causing your heart to beat. That's what brings consciousness into the foreground. That's what tells all of the cells of your body what to uptake and when. That's what causes the heart to beat. That's what causes the cells of your body to vibrate with life. It's life. But the MDs are blind to this. Because Dr. Huffenpuff says, unless it can be objectively measured and codified, it doesn't exist. Blah, 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 blah. And it's insanity. We've let the bozos drive the bus, and they've driven us right off of a cliff. While we've given the reins to the MDs, autism has skyrocketed, Alzheimer's has skyrocketed, type 2 diabetes has skyrocketed, obesity has skyrocketed, heart disease rates remained unchanged. Forget about a cure for cancer. Yeah, after almost $1 trillion, we're not even any closer to a cure than we were when Richard Nixon said we must have a war on cancer. We've taken the wrong dog to the hunt, ladies and gentlemen. You want your health back? Fire your medical doctor. Fire your medical doctor. They bring nothing into the fray here that's of any benefit for you unless you experience a trauma. If you're up against a chronic health condition, lean on a holistic physician. Lean on longevity. And let us show you the way to science-based, clinically verified holistic health. It's easier than you think. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Stick around. So here's the deal. If you want to have an adult, authentic conversation about health, you must, into the conversation, insert a conversation about spirituality. Because there is a spiritual force which is running the show. There is an unseen life force present in the body which is intimately connected with your health or lack thereof. Having a conversation, developing a therapeutic to help the body heal itself without taking into account the existence of the life force is a fool's errand and is bound to fail, which is why MD's therapeutics fail, because they take no account of the very fundamental foundation of the human body, the intelligence of the spirit. Let's move to Missouri now and see what Edward's up to. Hey, Edward, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Hello, Doctor.
What's going on, Edward?
I've been diagnosed with jaundice, but let me explain a little bit. Month and a half, 2 months ago, some guys at work asked me how come I look yellow. I didn't think anything of it. My wife and I, just before the end of the year, were sitting down having dinner, and she saw my hands, and my hands were yellow. So I was on vacation, went to the doctor to do some blood work, and he said, they possibly have jaundice. So we did all kinds of blood tests. The blood test came back, and everything, all my results were dead middle in the ranges. A few of them high, but he couldn't find anything.
Yeah. Don't you hate that?
Yep. So what I did, a while back, you recommended for me to go to, or not recommended for me, for in general, for people to go to see a chiropractor.
Yeah.
A while back I did that, about 4 months ago, September I think it was. He looked at my blood work, and he was concerned with how my liver was processing the protein.
Yeah.
So I threw in some the de-stress in there, along with my other stuff, and everything seemed to be fine until I started turning yellow. And I went back to him this morning, and he looked at my blood work and everything, and he said I definitely had jaundice, even though the Dr. MD said I didn't have it.
Yeah.
Because what he did is just the color of my skin, and he pressed on my skin to see how the color comes back.
Right.
And it stayed for, 2, 3, 4 seconds. It should come back right away.
That's right.
And he said, looking at all my blood work, he doesn't see nothing he can put a finger on. They know something's going on. So he would like me to do a cleanse of my liver. And I remember you talking about the beet juice I could take.
Yeah, well, let me give you my 2 cents worth here, right? There's a number of things. There's a number of things to talk about here and bring to light. Number one, you've got strong and persistent, visible, noticeable symptoms that you can see, your wife can see, everybody can see, the MD can see it. But then when they do blood work, they can't find anything, and then they dismiss you saying, there's nothing wrong with you. Well, why the hell is my skin yellow? Yeah, there is something wrong with me. This makes you kind of question the intellectual capacity of the MD. Because, and this happens all of the time, and it blows my mind, and every time this happens, I walk away thinking to myself, why do people give the MD so much credit when they bring to the table an absurd point of view like this time after time after time? Strong and persistent symptoms, but because their diagnostic discovery cascade can't pinpoint anything, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It can't be the problem with the diagnostics. It can't be the problem with the MD's obscure, stilted, jaded, one-sided point of view of diagnostic science and pathophysiology. No. It's got to be the patient's fault. It blows my mind all the time. If this is just diagnostic incompetence and it's arrogance before the fact, and, these people should have their medical license rejected. I mean, that's like... That's why he went to the chiropractor, and good man.
Exactly.
But, we have a giant listening audience here, and I never know who's new to the radio show, and so I like to kind of put it all in perspective for new folks. I know that you've got a handle on this, and I'm glad that you do. Stick around, Edward, and I'll help you figure this out when we come back after these words. Fire your MD now, ladies and gentlemen, and music to my ears. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Peter Glidden. We're talking to Edward in Missouri about jaundice. Edward, are you still with me? Come in, Edward. Are you still there?
Hello. Yes, I'm here.
All right, good. So just for fun, I want you to call your medical doctor's office up, the guy that initially ran the blood work, and say that because he couldn't find anything, you want a refund. Just say, look, you did all this testing on me. He couldn't find anything. I'd like a refund, please. Here's my address. You can send the check to such and such address and just see what they say. That's what I would do, although it's not going to get you anywhere. If more people started acting like this, I think we might actually change things, but, you never know.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
There was out of that visit, there was 2 things that he mentioned.
Yeah.
One was... there was some slight inflammation in the bile duct.
Yeah.
And the other one was I've lost 2 inches in height.
Okay. Did anybody do an ultrasound? Did he do an ultrasound?
Yes, he did. They did, and said everything looked good except for the inflammation in the bile duct, which was a low grade or not that much he wasn't concerned with.
Well, he should have been concerned with it because it's the bile duct that is suspect when anybody has jaundice. When your skin starts to yellow up, it's because your bile duct is occluded, and bile starts to build up in the blood because it's like it's backing up. It's kind of like when your sewer pipe clogs up and now you've got sewer in your basement. Well, why is that? It's because the pipe's clogged. Well, the common bile duct is something's going on there. The most common cause of bile duct inflammation is there's a little gallstone that's been stuck in there that's causing irritation. So here's what I would recommend that you do in order to get on the other side of this. And I would do this for 7 days, see if it makes a difference. How much do you weigh?
About 150.
All right. So do you have a juicer?
Yes.
All right. So I want you to do 2 ounces of fresh squeezed beet juice every day for 7 days. I actually want you to do it twice a day. 2 ounces of fresh squeezed beet juice twice a day. And I don't care what you mix that with. One of my favorite concoctions, taste-wise and health-wise, is fresh squeezed beet, carrot, and green apple. You can add any type of juice that you want, but that's a really tasty combination. Green apple, carrot, and beet juice. And I don't care how much green apple juice or how much carrot juice you add to the 2 ounces of beet juice. I don't care. I want you to have 2 ounces of beet juice twice a day for 7 days, number one. Number two, I'd like you to get some of the longevity digestive enzymes, and I'd like you to take 2 of the digestive enzymes 3 times a day between meals, and 1 digestive enzyme at the beginning of each meal. I want you to take 2 digestive enzymes 3 times a day between meals, and I want you to take 1 digestive enzyme once a day at the beginning of the meal. Do that for 7 days. I also want you to do 3, 6, 9. I want you to do 12 selenium a day for 7 days. 4, 4, and 4. I also want you to do those between meals. So do 4 selenium and 2 digestive enzymes between meals 3 times a day. 4 selenium, 2 digestive enzymes 3 times a day between meals. Take the Healthy Start Pack like you've been doing, the EFAs like you've been doing, the white liquid calcium like you've been doing. Eliminate the 10 bad foods. Add the beet juice and the stuff that I just talked about. Do that for 7 days and then call me back. It's very interesting here that this should be happening to you. You're not currently doing any beta-carotene supplements or vitamin A supplements or drinking a lot of carrot juice, are you?
No.
Okay, good. So just roll that out for 7 days, Edward. Give me a shout back and let me know how you feel. Does that sound like a plan?
Yep, sounds like a plan.
All right. Take the ball and run with it. Give me a call back. The rationale behind that reasoning is that, well, there's a problem with the gallbladder and the bile duct. Well, there's a problem with the bile duct, and if there's a problem with the bile duct, there's a problem with the gallbladder. If there's a problem with the gallbladder, the most common thing to think about is a problem with the bile, which is pretty apparent because he's got jaundice, which is caused by too much bile. So the ultimate the ultimate digestive enzymes really supports and promotes the proper functioning of the gallbladder, as does the selenium, as does the beet juice. So we're giving like a 3-tiered assault here in a positive way to the gallbladder and the liver. We're going to keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. Let's go up to Alaska and talk to Bill. Hey, Bill, thanks for calling back. You are live.
Hello. I'm calling with the CR report.
All right, I'm all ears.
Okay. CR. And now that, of course, is cranial rectimitis.
Yeah, cranial rectimitis, which is what most MDs have. They've got their heads up there, you-know-whats. I'm all ears, Bill. I'm sitting down, so lay it on me.
CR is rampant here in the nursing home.
Yeah, it is rampant in the nursing home, man. I got to tell you, they're doing everything wrong. They're doing everything backwards. But remember, it's not their job to fix people or to help people. It's their job to sedate people, right, and manage their illness. It's their job to sedate people and manage their illness, and it's insanity.
clearing out the debt. And I want to ask, how strict do I need to be in my avoidance of gluten?
As strict as is humanly possible. I would rather have you not eat than eat something that has gluten in it. That's how bad I think it is. I would rather have you not eat than eat something that has gluten in it. Now, you need to eat something, right? But as far as I'm concerned, it is the number one top offending food in the world, and very, very few people on the planet are okay with gluten. And if you've got any chronic disease whatsoever, now you've got multiple sclerosis, right? If you've got any chronic disease, especially if it's of the central nervous system, then you just got to avoid that stuff like the flippin' plague. You can have someone in your family bring gluten-free bread to the nursing home. You can have someone from the family bring gluten-free pasta. And, just slip the cook $20 a month and say, look, this is for Bill, and just make sure he gets this, and life is good.
Okay. I talked to the dietitian, and she says that it is almost impossible to go gluten-free.
Well, she's wrong, and if you told the dietitian, look, you don't know, but I'm a multimillionaire, and I'm going to give you $1 million in 30 days if you can go gluten-free, I'm pretty darn sure she'd go gluten-free, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just wrong. From her point of view, it's wrong. That's like a communist telling you that voting, you want people to vote? Well, that's stupid. It's a hard thing to do. Nobody can do that. You can't do that. You shouldn't do that. It's a bad thing to do. Well, of course a communist is going to tell you that because they have proctitis. Everybody does. Hey, Bill, someone called me last week on the radio, and they told me that they'd heard that colloidal gold was a very good thing to do to support and promote the structure and function of your central nervous system if you have multiple sclerosis. I'd never heard of that before. Have you heard anything about that?
No.
Now, you might want to look it up. Do an internet search for it. Colloidal gold. We have colloidal silver, right? And that's for different things. But I was very interested in that, and I wanted to learn more. And if I were you, I'd get my hands on some colloidal gold and take it for a couple of months and see if you experience any positive change. That's my advice to you today, William.
Okay.
All right, we got to go, buddy. I appreciate you. Keep up the CR watch up there in Alaska, and I'll look forward to your next phone call. Let's see what Sherry's up to in Idaho. Thanks for calling, Sherry. You are live.
Hey, Dr. Glidden. This is Sherry in North Idaho.
What's happening, girl?
Hey, well, this is my first time calling in, even though I've been with Longevity for a couple of years, but I'm with Mark Denning.
Nice.
Yeah, the commander's great. So are you. Anyway, I just wanted to call in and share with all the listeners, whether they're with Longevity or not, on Facebook, Sherry Bob has created a wonderful page called Good Food, Bad Food. And this lines up with Dr. Wallach's Good Food, Bad Food list, and just trying to help raise some awareness and educate people on what's good and what's bad, according to Dr. Wallach.
Wow, that's great. It's on that now. That's a Facebook page called Good Food, Bad Food?
Yes. And
now
anybody is welcome to join it.
Well, yeah, you got to love that. I didn't even know about that. So, and this is why we have a grassroots coalition of the informed all around the world, people doing busy bee work all over the world, helping out the cause. That's really great. Check it out on Facebook, folks. It's called the Good Food, Bad Food page.
Started that about 5 days ago, and we're at 332 members already. It is wonderful.
Boy, you got to love the internet. You've got to love social media. You've got to love social marketing. You have to love, really, and I say this to people all the time, and I think it's finally starting to sink in, at least with a handful. The only thing anybody needs to do to be successful in longevity is tell the truth. But they have to tell it. They have to speak it. They have to talk to at least one person. Just talk to one person a day. Tell them the truth. There's no funny business going on. There's no conflation. There's no inflation. There's no obfuscation. There's no bait and switch. There's nothing. Mm-hmm. Just tell people the truth.
Right.
And
if you truly care about them, they'll know. And they'll trust you. And, I mean, proof is in the pudding for my body. So.
Well, what happened? Tell the listening audience how you feel.
Well, I had fibromyalgia for over 15 years. And I had IBS, Crohn's for over 40 years. And all of that is gone. It's just changed my life. There's so many other things that, have gone along, that was going wrong in my body, too. And I'm in my late 40s, and I felt like I was dying. And, I prayed about it, and God brought me to longevity, and I am so thankful. And then last year, I lost 30 pounds on ASAP. I had tried for over a decade to lose weight, and I just couldn't. And the ASAP, in 3 months, I'd lost 30 pounds. I've kept it off since June, July, somewhere around there. And it's just, my life has changed. And I can't help but tell others, because you know how they feel. I've been there. You don't want to live like that. You don't want to see them live like that. And you have an answer. I have an answer now. And so I let people know, hey, I know a doctor who says you don't have to suffer with that.
And that's how we roll in Longevity Nation. Compassionate people pushing our message forward. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't know what you're missing. You're going to love Longevity. You're going to love the people that are here. Check it out. Join us, and let's change the world together. Welcome back, everybody. 12314, 12314, January 23rd. Finishing it up here with Ben in Illinois. Let's see what my Illinois friend is up to. Hey, Ben, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. I'm actually doing a follow-up and asking a new question if we have time.
All right.
I called earlier about someone with a fissure, and we'd already put him on 90/90. And the follow-up is he went to the doctor today for his consult, and it was healed. And all he did was stop eating gluten and do the drink twice a day.
Yeah, I love my job. That's why I love my job. I mean, that's why we do what we do. And, this is the tip of the iceberg, right? But don't get me started. We've only got a couple minutes left here. That's awesome, Ben. I mean, doesn't that make you feel good? Doesn't it make you feel good?
It makes me... Yeah, he said they were stunned that they had healed so well. So fast.
Well, I got to tell you something. That's the tip of the iceberg for this guy, right? Because the game is afoot.
20 pounds, too.
Well, you lost 20 pounds. Imagine that. And you're right. That's why we're successful, and that's why longevity's growing like a freaking weed.
Yep, that's right. And I got several friends on the program now. One is having a difficulty. She said it makes her stomach upset, and all she's taking is the 2.0, BTC 2.0.
Okay, so if she's having an upset stomach, then have her instead of put the Beyond Tangy in water, have her take the appropriate amount of scoops for her body weight in yogurt. Have her put it in yogurt. Just sprinkle the crystals on yogurt, mix it into the yogurt. It turns it pink. It looks like milk of magnesia, kind of, sort of, Pepto-Bismol. But often that's the fix. And she wants to get full-fat yogurt. There's only two companies that I know that make full-fat yogurt with the cream on top. One is called Brown Cow, and the other one is Stonyfield Farm. So tell her to find some full-fat yogurt and mix the Beyond Tangy Tangerine crystals right in with that and see if that doesn't solve the problem.
Okay, well, what she's trying to fix, and I don't know if this will fix it or not, she has black lines in her fingernails, and some of her fingernails have actually detached.
Oh, all right. So that's a number of things. When the fingernails actually detach like that, that's chronic nutrient deficiencies and bad circulation. So I believe, if memory serves me correctly, the extracurricular nutrients necessary here are zinc and B vitamins, but don't quote me on that. But that's not even necessary once we do the Healthy Start Pack, because that's got everything in it. So what I would recommend that she does is the Healthy Start Pack, and the Ultimate Daily Capsules. So just add, everybody gets selenium. She should be having selenium because everybody gets that. There's also a product that Youngevity makes called Hair, Skin, and Nails. It's called Hair, Skin, and Nails, and it's specifically for to support the structure and function of, guess what, hair, skin, and nails. So she could add that into the bargain. So the Ultimate Daily Capsules and Hair, Skin, and Nails. But she's got to avoid the 10 bad foods, man. Because if her fingernails are falling out, that means her body is really undernutrified. Because the nails and the hair are non-essential tissue. And from our point of view, the body will rob nutrients from non-essential tissue to keep essential tissue like the heart and lungs and liver and kidneys intact. So if I had to fathom a guess here, I would say that she's really running on fumes. So she needs to be gluten-free, man. And, add the Ultimate Dailies and the Hair, Skin, and Nails if you feel it's appropriate. And, the Beyond Tangy in yogurt with a little sliced banana is really easy on your stomach and often makes all the difference.
All right. Well, I will order her some new stuff, and we'll get her started on that. And I really appreciate your time.
All right, Ben, you're the greatest, man. Keep up the good work. It's people like you that make my job a million times easier because you actually listen and act. People who take action make all the difference in the world. Keep up the good work. So webinar tonight for insiders only. FireYourMDNow.com. Click on the Become an Insider button and gain access to 100-plus hours of archived health webinars and 5 hours of live webinars a week for insiders and their guests only tonight. 8 o'clock Central Time, worldwide live chat. So much fun. Can't wait. 8 p.m. tonight for insiders only. Check it out. FireYourMDNow.com. And remember, live long and prosper.